you're of the opinion that there is microbial life out there. It is perhaps abundant, but you're more agnostic about the existence of intelligent life because if it is out there, there'd have to be such drastically smaller quantities, or the proportion of it to unintelligent life would be so small. The reason that I think that this is really important is that, so I've spoken with Avi Loeb on the podcast, and I'm sure, I mean, if you just look at his CV, he's a terrifically accomplished astrophysicist, and he's done some really great work. But I think that his research on extraterrestrial life is quite biased, probably, by his extreme conviction that there is lots of intelligent life out there, which, granted, I'm not an astrophysicist. His conviction seems to be overblown and ill-founded, but this consequently results in his seeing aliens where I'm not sure the evidence permits it. And I don't want to assume that you have these same prejudices, but it's good to keep in mind, for me at least, what your credence is in the existence of alien life and its distribution throughout the universe, because that's going to affect how you interpret your data, whether or not you want it to, really.
Yeah, Avi is an interesting case because, yes, he's an excellent astrophysicist in many fields that aren't astrobiology. In astrobiology, there's a field he entered into alone almost. You know, I have a lot of astrobiological work that I do, and it's very collaborative, and it is very hard to do this sort of work in isolation. But Avi has very strong feelings about aliens in the traditional X-Files sense, which is very much at odds with the rest of the expert community. His intent is to find it, and I would love that too. You know, I had SETI on my desktop when I was little. You know, I've put in the hours. I think that it's really appealing to the public, the search for alien intelligence. And it is very easy as a scientist who works in a field that close to it, like me. It is very easy to get carried away with what you know the people want to hear. We would all love to find perfectly spherical debris from alien spacecraft that just came in. That would be cool. I think it would be cool. It just didn't happen. The Occam's razor situation here is so far from where we're at. And it's a really important thing in science, and it's a vital thing in astrobiology to never presume aliens. That's the rule. It is never aliens until you have literally excluded everything else. And even then, what you say is, there's still probably things I don't know that are still more likely than aliens. When we were trying to figure out what could possibly cause phosphine on Venus, we tried everything that was obvious, and then we tried everything that was not obvious. And then we were like almost drunkenly thinking of like, what if there was bismuth snow that hit a tectonic plate, that a plasma... That's the reasonable thing to do. To think of the most extreme geochemical explanation you can possibly think of and not presume it's aliens. And so it is, for me, unthinkable to approach any problem in astrobiology with a presumption that it's life. And a presumption that it's intelligent life, that has an even higher barrier to entry that seemingly is not a barrier at all to Avi. It's just an open gate with a red carpet. Mm-hmm. And that's the distinction.
What I think you're describing with the bismuth snow is the normative ideal in science of trying to falsify your hypothesis rather than seeking to to prove it. And just to clarify my own thoughts on Avi, I think he's a great guy. He's really nice. He's clearly extremely intelligent, and I'm glad that he's working on this. And I'm very interested in continuing to hear about it, like his dredging right now of
Of the
the
spheres,
sand
yeah.
for, for these little microspheres that he thinks are of alien origin. But I can entirely understand why many astrophysicists kind of bristle at his name, because they think he's tarnishing the rigor of science by not really following this ideal falsification protocol.
And it's hard to be respected as someone who studies alien life. You know, like I'm always struggling to be taken seriously. I'm a woman in science who is studying aliens. You know, this is not easy to be taken seriously. And so much of my work is exhausting because I need to make sure that I can validate the things I say and I can caveat things correctly. And I spent, hours, weeks, months, years of my life putting all this work into being really careful to have Avi come in and be like, aliens! And so I love Avi. He's wonderful in many ways, and I've seen him protect junior scientists. I wish he was more careful, much more careful, because it has consequences for people like me.